What's good? What's good? Listen, we back in the building, and this is CJ, the content connoisseur. And today we have a black male therapist checking feminist. I'm laughing, y'all, because everything he's about to say, Kevin Samuels said it. And Kevin Samuels has the biggest platform when it comes to the RP movement. And so, even though he didn't claim it, those are the talking points. And so I know without a doubt that they've either heard these talking points or they saw it off of the clips, because almost all his videos are a million up and up. So, but it's funny because all these content creators are really excited that a man is putting a woman in her place by using these talking points. And it's like, if Kevin Samuels couldn't do it and he was the biggest of all you guys, what makes you think you're going to do it? And he tried. Literally, he did the 50 Cent. He got rich, and he I can't even say because we're gonna put this on YouTube. But yeah, so I put on the title. He graduated from Kevin Samuels' YouTube talking points, because that's all it is. And it's funny because if y'all notice in here, when he's going back and forth with these women, right? Being a therapist, there's not going to be a lot of like therapeutic vernacular in ways where, like, let's say these talking points are real, right? Because they might be real. As a therapist, what are you doing, right? And that's what we're not getting to. Like, as a black therapist, as a male black therapist, what are you doing to combat all these different things that are against men? And we're gonna see what he says. But these content creators, they get so excited when they see a black man puts a woman in their place. He's like the more likable Myron Gaines. That's what he is. Because they're saying the same. He says the same thing Myron's saying, which is the same thing Kevin Samuels saying, but he's saying it in a way to where it's more digestible and it's more edifying for the women.
It's more so a women advocacy program, which is totally fine. But you cannot say that you care about men and that you're advocating for equality. And I'm going to list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests.
No, they don't.
You don't
they
care about paternity fraud.
No, they don't.
You don't care about male suicide rates.
Why would they care about that?
You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside.
Why would they care about that? This is funny.
You don't want to equalize that.
Sorry.
You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men.
That's a fact.
You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things.
No.
We can't be shocked anymore that there's an environment that's festering of boys and young men who unfortunately have a strong distaste, and I would argue, not even for women in general, women in the Western cultures and countries. This is why they're running to the other countries and cultures where men are at least still seen as valuable.
Get your passport. Get your passport. These niggas is predictable.
Important.
No, I think I will break up. Wait.
Yeah.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Get to the passport.
This motherfucker don't man.
Get to the passport. Get to the. These niggas is lame as hell.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
What's going going on YouTube? It's your boy Rome back with another video. If you're new to the platform, welcome to the tribe. By the end of this video, hope you subscribe. So I got a video for you guys that I wanted to react to. I've seen a couple people react to it already, but I wanted to dive in to this particular video because this brother made some very, very valid points, man, and he hit pretty much all the points that we talk about in this space, even though technically he's not in this space himself. I think they were referencing some, and I guess it's like a show or a movie called Adolescence, and it's supposed to be about incels and shit like that. You know, I don't really watch Netflix all like that too often, but I'd imagine it probably had a negative connotation to the situation, like people don't really understand what's really going on.
It hit, from what my understanding, it hit a little bit of what y'all talk about. You know, women are just putting men down. Society's hard for men. Blah 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 blah. And so in the movie or the show, I think it's out of Canada or something like that. They depict this young boy getting bullied, right? And so he gets bullied by this girl. She calls him an incel. He ended up taking a knife and, you know, to the young girl, and that's what it's about. And they're trying to figure out like where this come from, and then they find out the Andrew Tate rhetoric and all that. And so that's what it's about. You red pill dudes round up these young men and making them hurt women. That's what it's about.
And I guess this is just like fear propaganda bottled up in a movie, so to speak. So on the outside looking in, that's my opinion on it. However, we're going to see what they got to say about it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
So what was the reaction when you saw the show Adolescence, which is like based in incel.
Let him
I
cook.
understand why it's extremely appealing. I understand why it's going viral. I understand why I believe it's the third most watched show on Netflix history after being out for such a short amount of time, which is crazy. But it's wildly off in most ways in which they try to categorize what's actually going on. I'm being honest with you. And the problem with it is several things. But the first is they clearly did.
First of all, it's a fictional show. This is how you know these people are stupid. So it's a made-up show about a made-up scenario, about a made-up. Everything is fake, bro. Like, it was fiction. It's like Harry Potter. It's not real. Now, do people get bullied? Yes. Do people you know, pew pew up the schools? Yes. But that is like, the percentage of men to do that are like so small that pretty much they don't have nothing to really combat it, because it's not as frequent as people are making it seem, right? But to make it seem like this is a real issue is weird to me, because it's a fictional show.
Did not use an expert on incel culture. Any expert on go on YouTube when you get the chance and type in incel experts review Adolescence, and see all the data they have in comparison to how the show tried to cover it to a degree. And it was only 4 episodes, so there was only but so much, of course, that they could do. But I'm going to tell you one thing that I loved, and I think they did get right. And it was very subtle, and I don't know if people actually picked it up enough. The first is when the 2 detectives were walking through the school.
Yeah.
And they're trying to engage with the students, and it's very clear, like, they're just missing it. Students aren't saying anything. Nobody's really wanting to work with them. Like, they're just getting all this resistance. They're not really getting anywhere in terms of their investigation. And the lead detective, after he talks with his son, and his son talks about the red pill, and and he's asking his son, "Did you see the Matrix?" And his son's like, "What's the Matrix? Like, what are you talking?" Like, and they captured the confusion of people who aren't in it.
Yes.
Who don't do this for a living, who aren't psychologists, who aren't psychiatrists, who aren't in mental health, who aren't in these spaces. Even people who are talking about it all the time. If you're not in it, We don't actually get it.
That's a fact.
And he's 100% correct, because this is one of the reasons why I always think the RP community gets misrepresented, because it's seen as like hate speech damn near.
It is hate speech. It is 100% hate speech. 10,000% hate speech. It's horrible. And it's horrible because everything that's put out is always in a space. Y'all notice it's always in the space of a loser, of a lame, of a punk, of a weak person. It's never in the space of a man that has a family, that has children, that has a wife, that has all the things that we want as men. It's always from a dude that got bullied, got made fun of, that can't get a girlfriend, that can't get laid, is having trouble adapting to society. It's never from that. It's always from that point of view. If you're paying attention to what they're saying, these dudes, this dude right here, Average Unplugged, he's a passport bro. Meaning if he wants a connection with a woman, he has to leave America. Why would you listen to a dude like that? Why would you take advice from a dude like that? Does that make logical sense to you? There's women at your grocery store. There's women at your gym, at your school. You can't have none of those. You can't, none of that's, they're not available just because they're westernized. You have to go somewhere else and get over a language barrier, a cultural barrier. And you have to understand, even if you do all that, women from other countries still see you as a gringo, as someone, as an American person. And so even then they're looking at you different because you're not of them. But anyway, I'm saying that to say, the RP is a dangerous, horrible place for young men, because what they do is they show you all of the parts of society and women that comes from a place of someone that never made it, that never accomplished nothing, that there's about nothing, that has nothing, that has no soul, has no character. And all their information and all of their content comes from what a woman did to them, what society did to them. It's never them conquering anything, winning, being successful. It's always negative. That's why it's funny to hear these dudes talk, because it's always some loser shit.
Even though, like, we know that misandry is pretty much popularized on here. Otherwise, I mean, Drew Aflalo has 10 million, 9 million followers on TikTok. That's a bigger following than what Kevin Samuels had. And you saw how he popped off.
I don't know.
So let's not sit over here and act like we don't know which gets popularized and pretty much overlooked, especially by women in comparison to men. And I will actually make the argument that the RP community is a little bit more constructive, more so than bashing. It's just that women aren't used to accountability, because for so long
you cannot hold a woman accountable. You cannot do it. Men are made for criticism. Men were made to be instructed, and they're made to make things happen. There's a reason why, like when you're young, they can yell and cuss at you in the football locker room, and you cry and you get mad, but then you make it happen, because we're made for that, right? Because through all of it, right, we lead with logic, even though we have an emotional side, but we lead with logic first, right? So something makes sense, even if we don't like it, we'll go with it, right? With women, it's reverse, right? So they lead with feelings, and then logic comes. So that's why I said we're apples and oranges, and we have to understand that critiquing women will only bring you pain, discomfort, and it might put you 6 feet under if you're Kevin Samuels. So understand, if you want the women and things like that to flow with you, right, you need to find women that are going to flow with you at the very beginning of your interactions, the very beginning of the dating, at the very beginning of y'all hanging out. She needs to be flowing with you naturally, without you persuading her with dinners, gifts, and money. Just off of who you are as a man. If you are, let's say, if you're outgoing, fun dude, if you say, look, I'm going to this day party at this time, you trying to come? And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to go to the movies. You trying to come? Yeah. If she's rolling with you, flowing with you, keep her around. If she's not flowing with you, put one foot in front of the other and find one that will.
Really haven't had to be held accountable for anything, and even till this day still. But let's keep it moving.
When I talked about that mountaintop thing, You don't know what it's like
Oh Lord.
to be considered invisible and useless to both men and women.
Lord Jesus.
You don't get it.
Why do you want to be seen? Why do you news want to be seen? Why do you care about people paying attention to you? This is the thing. When you want to be seen, that means you don't see yourself. When you see yourself and you lean into who you are, it don't matter if someone's watching you. The reason why most of these dudes are unseen and it's simple. You are unremarkable human being. There's nothing about you that's unique, special, and different because you're a boring, insufferable, vanilla human being. What happens is you get blended in with the other people like you. And so, yes, you're not going to be paid attention to. Yes, people are not going to follow you. Yes, people are not going to see you because you're like everyone else. You're blended in.
You don't know that feeling.
Oh, God.
I don't care if you're the most unattractive. If you saw the show, what was it? My 400, 500-pound life or something like that, with these people, where they got to get cranes and break down doors to move these people. Why all these women got men?
What? Great question. I've always
because still, as a woman by default, she's still going to have value with some man.
Oh,
wow. But it's so late.
She's still, but again,
who problem is that? Is that the woman's problem or is the dude that has no freaking standards, bro? She has no standards. Zero. Why would you sign up for that? It's not the woman's problem, bro. It's
ready to lose the hat by clinically proven
100% online classes. That is actually so interesting.
Yeah.
So on the show, these are lead detectives whose job it is to learn, to question, think of things on multiple levels, and they had no idea that there's a subculture of bullying and ostracization amongst not just boys doing this to each other, but on social media, other people who you may not even know also saying things about you, also targeting you.
If you're a man or if you're a boy and someone's bullying you online, you need to be bullied. You need to be bullied. You need to be made fun of because all you have to do is block them, turn off your device. Listen, I'm sorry. Listen, I come from old school bullying where the bully was at your school in your classroom and you actually had to like confront your bully head on in person, where you either had to fight or you had to at least stand up to him. Like someone saying something to you over line and it gets to you, you need it because what's happening is your evolution as a man requires you to go through some bullying so you can have a backbone. Because what people don't understand about bullying is very important. Follow me. Being a bully as a boy, right? If you don't conquer it as a boy, it's going to follow you as a teenager. If you don't conquer it, it's going to follow you. And what people understand is the people that get bullied at work, they got bullied in school because they never conquered that problem. What happens with problems, right, is that it just moves with you. It never goes away, right? And so until you pass that test within yourself as a man, it will never go anywhere. And so if you're getting bullied online, you need to conquer that problem and so you can evolve and get better, because if you don't conquer it, it's just going to follow you. That's why people say you are where you are, meaning like if you're a weak person in America, you're going to be a weak person in Asia. You're going to be a weak person in Brazil. It doesn't matter. And so you need to conquer that issue within yourself so you can evolve and get better. Bullying is necessary.
And it's not just the bullying and the tactics. It's also the shaming. It's also the rejection. It's also being seen as invisible. And it's a very, very, very hard way. It's a very hard concept to try to describe to people who, for most of their life, or they have yet to experience what it means to be invisible since they were 14 years old.
Right. Yeah.
They don't know what that feeling is. And I thought the show did a really good job. But the parents didn't see it.
Yeah.
The detectives didn't know it. But the second piece I thought they got really great was when they found out, oh, snap, the kid's being targeted, the kid's being bullied. The victim apparently was a contributing member of this, and she was leading the charge. And the things that she would say and the viciousness of how they were treating this boy, I'm not going to say what he did was justify. Spoiler alert for those who didn't watch the show. If you didn't, it's your fault by now.
Yeah, exactly.
But the callous response that the woman investigator had when he tried to bring it to her attention, like, I think there's more that's going on with this case. And she said, I just want the attention to be on the victim, on the girl.
Yes.
And what I would suggest is there were 2 victims.
No.
It's just that one died.
No.
Right.
One lost their life and one lost their freedom potentially for the rest of their lives.
He needed to. Definitely needed to.
And what happens is that small little snippet is an example of the larger pool of what's going on.
You know what? Maybe one of these days, if I get a chance, I'll take a watch at this adolescence and see what it's about.
Why would you do that?
Maybe do like a review on this show.
Why would you do that?
We're so oblivious to the realities and perspectives of what young boys and men are going through. You don't get it that for many men, they don't.
You're not supposed to get it. You're never supposed to get it. All right. As a boy, right, you have different things, whatever it is. You know, some dudes, it's academic problems. Some dudes, it's social problems. So we all have things we have to conquer and get over, right? But every young boy has a different lane to masculinity, manhood, right? And so as a man, as a parent, your job is to guide them. But the boy himself has to go through the trials and tribulations of being a man on his own. And so there's not for you to get. It's not for you to understand. It's not for you to grasp or sympathize or empathize with. They have to go through it alone, because at the end, right, they'll start to become the man they want to become, because then they've conquered all these different things and realized I can accomplish anything that comes in my path. And that's really, in general, what this process of being a boy to man is. Look, I got this. I'm competent. I'm confident in myself, and I can conquer anything that comes in my path. And you, as a therapist, can't help them. The women definitely can't help them. It's an individual process that we all have to go through.
Don't see feminism. Doesn't matter if they don't have the great working definition of it.
Lord.
Their experience of all these people who claim that identity. You don't actually care about equality.
No, they don't.
That's a woman advocacy movement, or at least was up until recent debates about who can or can't be a woman. But prior to this debate, it's always been, for many people, and particularly many men, it's more so a women advocacy program, which is totally fine. But you cannot say that you care about men and that you're advocating for equality. And I'm going to list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory ADHD diagnosis and the medication, psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the.
I know.
Exactly. There are some, and I'm thinking, what the top 20%? Why not keep it moving, man? My apologies.
And that is what society in Western cultures is unfortunately like.
With Google Workspace, you can create a Gmail account with your own domain and branding, helping your business look professional in any inbox. That's business email made easy with Google Workspace.
Do y'all know, right, that they're reviewing this is a fictional show. This is not. This whole conversation is about a show that's not real. This scenario, it's fiction. Oh my god. Oh, this is hilarious. Oh my god.
When we talk so much about misogyny, most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men. What's the term? What's the misandry? Being a misandrist. Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists. Their experiences in co-worker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say, and you need to shut up. And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life.
Oh, that's a fact. It is.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Just so y'all know,
Goofy.
that was a telling chuckle. In case y'all ain't catch that. Yeah. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah,
I've been told my wife, we joke around about it all the time. When we're amongst other couples and friends, she sarcastically say all the time, the one thing I appreciate about Jeff more than anything is he's the same exact person in home as he is in public. Right. He doesn't change. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no. If I'm going to disagree, I'm going to disagree. And men not.
Why the reason why he says that is because men, husband niggas, there's two switches, right? There is the husband nigga that's your homie, right? And so when you're out your homie, he cussing, his personality, his bravados, you know what I'm saying? And then when he's around his wife, his voice is lighter. He's more polite. He's considerate, empathetic, sympathetic. Like his whole vernacular changed, bro. You be like, yo, you don't even talk like that. But his wife's around, the boss is around. Like literally, I got a homeboy, right? And if I want to hang out with my homeboy, I gotta call him and then put his wife on the phone and beg to hang out with my homeboy. If we went in the NBA finals, I had to beg so we can go watch the game to him because she tells him what to do. But that's normal. Because if you ever go back to watch any clips in any movies, women will say, you got him trained. As if we're animals. It's normal. Yeah.
Going through the natural maturation process as teenagers, as early adults, because they literally don't have the opportunity to with women. We can't be shocked anymore that there's an environment that's festering of boys and young men who unfortunately have a strong distaste. And I would argue, not even for women in general, women in the Western cultures and countries. Yeah. This is why they're running to
take a dramatic shift culturally.
I talk to quite a lot of my friends, who were all parents. And they had no idea I knew about it because I'm doing this podcast and I see these comments all the time and I was very aware of it. I've read a lot about it. I had no idea about it. And I'm like, you have teenage children and young adult children. How do you not know?
The reason why you don't know is because teenagers don't tell their parents nothing. We know this. I didn't tell my some conversations I have right now with my mom, right, is things I went through as a teenager, but as a man, I'm talking to her now because I have a grasp on what's going on. It's not helpful for a teenager to tell a parents everything because a lot of times as a teenager, everything you're going through, it's just some emotional mumbo jumbo. It's just a whole bunch of emotions hitting you really, really, really fast, and you really can't logically explain what's going on. And so I don't think it's useful to tell your parents everything because all you're going to do is put more stress on your parents. If it's not, where it's talking about some type of harm or, maybe you're struggling with like school or something like that. If it's an emotional problem, deal with it because you can, because we have all the capabilities to deal with it. But the reason why I can have my conversations with my mom now is because I'm on the other side of all the different things and I can explain to her what happened, how I dealt with it, and what I learned from it. These kids don't have that yet because they're not men yet. So it's not going to be useful at all.
How are you that ill-informed? I agree with you. To me,
what's crazy? Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you want to know what's crazy? When you're in a market and environment where both parents got to work long hours, mm-hmm. and both parents are out of the home for extended periods of time, and both parents have to figure out so much, and you don't even have one parent that's like really super involved, mm-hmm. versus they both are kind of got 40-hour work schedules, and one may have to do additional overtime, and the cost of living is exploding. It's harder than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
For parents, men and women, fathers.
That's not it either. It's just copium. Do you know why it's harder? Because most parents are tablet giving parents. They give the kids tablets. Shut up and look at this video. Shut up, get on YouTube. Shut up and play this video game. Shut up. They're not active with their kids, right? They're not doing things with their kids. So where a kid can feel, because the only way a kid is going to talk to their parents if you and your kid are doing something like maybe you're teaching the kid how to put together a bike, you're going fishing, maybe you're throwing the football around, you're doing something with your kid that's normal for a parent to do, and then the kid feels like they can tell you what's going on, because it's not a forced, like, you're not interrogating them, you're not forcing the conversation, you're just kind of being a parent. They're like, well, I'm gonna tell my parent this little thing and see how they take it. But that's how you get to that thing, because I know for me, and for a lot of people I know, me was fixing, putting a tire on a car, learning how to put a tire on the car or changing the oil. In that, doing that, I felt more comfortable telling, my mentor these different things I was going through, and then we talked and we chuckled, and he let me know things were going to be all right and how to combat some of the issues I had. But it comes from just doing things, bonding with your kid. And the kid would then eventually tell you, what's going on little by little.
The mothers, it's a lot harder now. We are living in an area in New Jersey where our property taxes per month is the cost of most people rent across the world.
Yeah, of course.
Where our daycare is more than the cost for daycare for 1 to 2 kids is the equivalent of what 50 to 60% of people in the world make.
Mm-hmm.
Sexually abused.
Okay, y'all, break this down real fast. All he just said was his fault, right? So the reason why I don't have kids, is because I don't have the time, and I don't want to raise my kid in an apartment. And so when you know what you want out of life, what you can do is you can plan and put yourself in a position to where you can afford things, you can do things. What happens is a lot of people have kids and then they figure shit out. They have kids and, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And now, like you said, they're working 40 hours a week, sometimes more. They're in a very expensive area. And now it's like, is that really conducive to being in the family? Right? If you lived in a place where it's more affordable, right? Where you can actually get more house for your money and things are a lot slower, I guarantee you being a father would be a lot less challenging. But, people want to live in a big city, be in the city and have the city life and be a parent too. And it's like, that's
Used in a San Diego County
harder.
youth facility.
It's a lot harder.
Significant compensation may be available. What happened to you or
Bro, it sounds like you need to move out of New Jersey, man. Damn, what?
That's what I was saying.
Ooh, man. I'm like, so Jersey must be just as expensive by New York based off of what he just.
Yes.
Also creating this type of dynamic and environment. So and then lastly, I meant to say the dynamic, why is this exploding and why is this so big in the UK? And why are these government officials getting all involved in this? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you are a young woman or woman, period, and you're thinking about, well, oh my gosh, this incel thing and all these men want to harm me and hurt me and do this or do that. A huge percentage of the boys and men that feel that way, there's a reason why they're leading the statistics of being 4 times more likely to take their own life.
Right.
They're actually far more of a danger to themselves
than to anybody else.
Even in a relationship. You take a woman who's in a relationship with a man and a relationship with a woman, her domestic violence rates is significantly higher with another woman than with a man.
Listen, I live with 2 lesbian couples. That's a fact. They fight like cats and dogs. Like, bro, it's scary. But it makes sense because they both are leading with who they are on the inside, and they have the same software, right? For as we grow this platform out, I'm gonna talk about water and fire, right? Because this is the thing. We need to be water when they're fire. Meaning we need to cool things down, chill things down, and that's how we're gonna move the situation the way we want it. A lot of those type of couples, right? Because they have the same software, it's fire with fire. So all you just get is more fire. You get more conflict. You get more conflict. That's a fact. That's complete fact.
Yeah, y'all heard that right? That woman said, really? She really don't know. I'm telling you, bro. Yeah, it just go to show you, bro.
Or with a man.
I know. The highest divorce rate is lesbian couples.
Yeah, and so is the DV rate.
What's the
They should be having the most orgasms. That's unbelievable.
Domestic violence. DV rate.
No. Once again, it's a reason why we exist and they exist, right? Is because we're different. And so no. It's more fights. It's way more fights because think about it like this, right? When a woman is mad, right? You're gonna learn as a man how to deal with her anger, right? Some dudes walk, like leave the house for run errands and come back and then they have the conversation. Other men, they just do stuff around the house. They just kind of, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is most of the time when a woman is mad, you just let her calm down. You let her naturally on her own, right? And then you have a conversation in a calm, collective manner to where you can have some understanding. Women are different. They are complete. Listen, it's either they're super passive or they're going to be super confrontational. But either way, when they get there, and it's no like, let's chill it down. No, it's like they're going to get there and they're going to stay there until until shit gets crazy, and then I don't even know how they handle it because I'm not a woman, but I know, like, from me living with these women, they fight fist to face type fighting. Like, it's bad. It's scary. It's scary because you're like, yo, I'm gonna have to call the police. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna snitch, but it sounds like people are getting hurt in there, and it doesn't sound like it's a fun type of hurt.
Right.
Yeah. So again, the show is so popular, it's so big, probably 250,000 plus people are probably going to watch it. And now they're again adding to this narrative that the most unsafe you can be is dealing with and doing life with men or males. And what I'm arguing is a huge percentage of them end up taking their own life. A very, very small percentage of them, if they get successful enough, end up finding a suitable partner, or they're going abroad to find a woman who can meet their needs.
Get your passport.
So it's not to say that there's violence between men and women that doesn't exist. Of course, it's a thing. All I'm suggesting is that the show, there may be ulterior motives for why the show is being pushed. And whenever politicians or celebrities or anybody who's not a normal person jumps in on a wave, always be wary of what's the thing.
I love that. Listen, he didn't say a lot. I didn't agree with most of the things he said, but 100, that is a fact. Anytime you see a celebrity, a politician backing a movement, it's trash. The movement is trash. It's trash. I 100% agree. And this is where discernment, we're going to talk about this a lot. Discernment comes in. Whenever you see someone, like when crypto popped off, you see people that are like actors and movie stars promoting different type of crypto, and that should automatically be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna, whatever that one they're promoting, I'm not gonna, because what often happens is their PR firm, right, tells them, yo, you should do this, you should do that, and so they're not even understanding the thing, they're just doing it for the look. You know what I'm saying? That's all what it comes from. But that's come from actually having discernment and knowing that a lot of these celebrities don't know what the hell they talking about.
If they're pushing, and what's the policy that's going to come down as a result of this? Is this going to be a social media crackdown? Is this going to be a monitoring thing where people have to register their social ID numbers or something in order for them to even have access to a website or have access to the internet? I'm going to argue this. Prime time. It's perfect to push something like this in a political environment when Gen Z and some millennials, between men and women, are splitting further than they've ever been. And then you have a huge pool of women who are looking for explanations to justify why all these men are splintering off and voting differently than us, thinking differently than us, going their own way, not wanting to marry women. There's got to be some explanation for it. And it can't possibly be because of our decision-making, our hierarchy of what we're attracted to and not attracted to. It can't be us. It's got to be because they're all incels.
Yes, it is.
It's got to be because they just outright hate women.
Yeah, they do.
It can't possibly be because there's been an environment that's been telling them that we hate you.
That's a fact. It
can't possibly be that.
It is that.
It can't be society or culture or the colleges or liberal. It can't be any of those factors, or even how we treat the men who we think don't check off all about. It can't be none of that. It's got to be because of this Netflix series, and now we need policy to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's the level of thinking that I want all of us to start to get better at when we watch anything on social media, anything on streaming services, because I would argue much of the things that's impacting us and influencing the quote unquote gender war is not even coming from in here. It's coming from what we're seeing on screens and on these computers.
If y'all paying attention, this woman right here is not paying attention. She's like drifting in and out of consciousness because she's bored. And then this woman is listening and just saying, yeah, oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh, listen. He said all that to himself. The women weren't listening to him at all. They weren't listening. The women said, when a woman and women are together, like, it's not going to be more orgasms. They weren't listening, bro. And it's because, one, he was over talking like a goofy. Two, he wasn't letting them get involved. Three, he was spewing out this red pill propaganda that's, I'm telling you, if you want a woman to walk away from you quick, fast, and in a hurry, dry up your opportunities to date and get sex, talk about spit this red pill bullshit. Just do it. Follow this man, average man unplugged, and do exactly what he does. And I guarantee you, you will never get a relationship. Because even when you watch his videos, he's like, yeah, really? See what I'm saying, guys? This is messed up. Like no personality, no enthusiasm, no passion. This is something he does for a living. He gets to travel, and be a international trick. But anyway, this is CJ. I hope you guys know and understand that they don't care. They will never care, and they shouldn't care, because, like I said, as a man, your life is about you and your individual walk. And so you have to focus on the individual walk and not worry about what the world is saying. It's been CJ. I'm out.